Have you ever had one of those scrolling late night for a minute moments and somehow you ended up buying two different skincare routines that promise to solve all your skincare problems? Yeah, I did that. And let's say my skin was not impressed. And I'll tell you exactly what happened and how to avoid my little midnight skincare experiment disaster by the end of this episode. Today, I'm sitting down with Lindsay Nahmiache, owner and CEO of Veriphy Skincare and Jive PR digital investor, mom, and total skin enthusiast with a refreshing no BS approach to skincare in your 40s and 50s and beyond. We're talking about why perimenopause and menopause can make your skin feel suddenly dry, dull, and wait, whose face is this? And why throwing more products at it can actually make things worse. Lindsay breaks down the science behind Veriphy's clinically biotech ingredient, PhytoSpherix, why her line only has 5 products on purpose, and the simple habit her grandmother taught her that might be the most underrated skincare step ever. And yes, we're also getting into how to hydrate your skin when you're using retinol or tretinoin, what to watch for in ingredients because, and why TikTok trends can be a little too brave for your midlife skin. Help me in welcoming Lindsay Nahmiache to the show. Lindsay Nahmiache, welcome to Create the Best Me. Oh my goodness, I'm a fangirl first, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, Lindsay, before we get into today's exciting conversation, could you please tell the listeners and viewers a little bit, just a little bit, because you're so young, but I feel like you've lived a really long life. Tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. I love hearing that I'm young. I don't feel that way. But, some days are better than the others. So my name is Lindsay Nahmiache. I am a mother, entrepreneur, skin enthusiast, just like life, well-being, well-lived advocate. So in any, just little moments. If we had friends over for Sunday night dinner last night, and it's just like those little moments of life are what they matter so much. But what we're going to be chatting about today is one of my big loves, which is Veriphy Skincare, which is a biotech, clinically backed skincare line. So science first, very strong formulations, and works really well with, perimenopause and menopausal skin. So I know there's a lot of trend around that right now, but it's nice that we existed way before that. But it really, really does target that skin. And there's so much to talk about it. So I'm excited to be here.
So how did you come across Veriphy before you actually ended up where you're at?
Yes. So I was actually a customer of Veriphy, which I think is the most amazing testament to the journey and the power of this product. So I was a customer of Veriphy. It was developed by a biotech company. So all scientists in a lab, they discovered this crazy form of vegan glycogen called PhytoSpherix, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, it's just turbocharges hydration by having your skin produce its own collagen. So they discovered it, and some super smart women that worked for the biotech company said, let's create a skincare line around this. This is how we can bring it to the world. And so they did that. But because they were all scientists and science backed, they spent so much time, so much resources developing incredibly strong formulations, but simple, right? So there's only 5 products in our SKU, and that's intentional because if the products are really good and the ingredients are that good, you don't need a lot of products, nor do you want to be over layering too much on your skin. You want your skin to be able to do the work that it should be able to do naturally. So anyways, long story short, they created this line, put so much love and attention into it. And then fast forward a couple of years, I was using it. They had great raving customers, but the biotech company was selling to a Swiss ingredient company because this ingredient was, again, it was so powerful and they were starting to use it in a lot of other uses as well. And so I found this out and I reached out to the CEO and, just explained who I was, what I was into. And, when things just are meant to be, this man was the sweetest man, but obviously so smart. And we just worked out this great deal that I was able to take over the skincare line. It originally started up in Canada because they discovered the ingredient up there at a university. And since then, we've just been expanding it. And, we launched in Nordstrom's last year. We just launched in Ulta a couple weeks ago. So it really is a really special brand. And it's, again, we're not like other beauty brands because most of them have 30, 40 SKUs. Like we just have 5 products. And so it's been a labor of love. And it's like one of those things I'm like, I can't give a better testimony than, I was a customer, was obsessed, and wanted the brand to continue to grow. So we're here today.
And so you noticed a big difference because you're younger than I am, way younger than I am, but you noticed a difference in your skin, if I understand you correctly, and you fell in love with the product. And you fell in love with the product so much that you were willing to put cash behind it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things, like I love skincare, and I was, but I would try like these super high-end brands because I would think, okay, well, they must be onto something. And then I discovered through a friend this biotech beauty brand, Veriphy, and I started using it, and I was like, what the heck is this stuff? Like it was making my skin look so much better than all of these other brands that I was investing in. And so I just started using it, and obviously was telling everyone that I knew. And yeah, and even to this day, I'll still, because I always want to make sure, like, is it just me? Am I drinking the Kool-Aid? I'll stop using it and start trying another brand just to see. And without fail, and there's great brands out there. So, I love certain products, but without fail, I'm like, I'm just lacking that like luster again. And I go back to Verify, and then my skin again immediately bumps back up to where it should be. So it truly is. It truly works. And I think we have such a high returning customer rate that people are starting to see it as well.
Yeah. And so the reason I invited you onto the show is because, again, I like to speak to women that are in perimenopause, menopause. And the one thing that I noticed is, as for myself, when I entered perimenopause, and I entered it pretty early in life, is my skin. Things were not working correctly. And I did exactly what you had said. I found myself spending more money for these products that say that they delivered XYZ. But when I looked at my skin, it looked the same. And I'm pretty sure that, I'm not the only person out there. There are tons of women out there that go through the same thing, to where we lack hydration. We start to see fine lines. And because we start to see fine lines, we run to either retinoid or retinol, tretinoin. And then we get that rude awakening that, guess what? You're going to get dry. You're going to get flaky. And now you're looking for that substitution, that I need something to hydrate me while I get through this retinoid thing. And so your product does it.
Yes, it does. And it was funny. I was just having a conversation with my dermatologist, who I love, and she's incredible, but she specializes in perimenopause and menopausal skin. So we always have so many things to talk about. And so I gave her like all the science, all the clinical data, the studies behind Verify and this PhytoSpherix ingredient. And we were talking, and she goes, oh my gosh, I get it, because what the PhytoSpherix is doing is it is having your skin produce its own collagen. So it's going into it and it's doing it with a vegan form of glycogen, which I know that some people are like, what? It's not, we're trying to be vegan for the sake of being vegan. It's just that it's a different delivery mechanic than your traditional marine shellfish type glycogen sources. So it's helping your skin do what your skin should do naturally. And I think that that's the difference, is because we believe like, you have the power, like your skin has the power to heal itself, just like your body has the power to heal itself better than any ointment, cream, pharmaceutical, whatever. Your body and your skin is the smartest thing. We just unfortunately make it lazy because we start putting all of these different chemicals, things, eating crappy food, that then the body's natural intelligence just goes, okay, I don't need to do anything because you're giving me all this stuff. But when you start fueling it with the right things, it comes back online and it starts working the way it's meant to. And so anyways, that's a very like non-clinical way of explaining it. But for me, it's the part that like, I got it. And so listen, I think there's a time and a place when people want to use those, retinols, all, like, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying like, balance it or look at what you're doing to your skin on a regular basis. Give it a break and give it the opportunity to be able to heal and revive itself as well. And everyone has to see what's right for them, right? Like some things aren't right for everyone. So I think the nice thing about our line is it's fragrance free, like people with rosacea, sensitive skin, they're all able to use it. I get a lot of people being like, I wish there was a fragrance. I'm like, well, no, it was designed intentionally. We don't want fragrances on your skin. Like if you want fragrance, like spritz yourself after, but going into your skin when it's moist and stuff like that, you don't need those disruptors. So yeah, that's kind of where we stand and why I think it's so beneficial for people at that age. And the one other thing I'll give is that as much as I love TikTok, because I think the TikTok trends and all of that comes out of it, that's fine for younger skin that can just handle things, but don't be putting stuff on your face just because you see it blowing up on social media. Like you got to do some more due diligence, especially when you're in your 40s, 50s, because things that disrupt you will take you longer to come back from versus when you're 20 and you try something, it reacts and you come back. So I always just say people need to use discernment as well when looking into these things.
Yeah. And a couple months back, I interviewed a dermatologist and she was talking about young skin, under the age of 19, but I kind of take to the next step over. And I think about, even beyond 19, before perimenopause kicks in, I think you really shouldn't put a bunch of stuff on your face because when you do that, because like you mentioned and she had mentioned as well, that our skin has this natural innate ability to fix itself, self-fix itself. But when you're adding all this stuff that you see on TikTok, all these layers of skincare product and all this stuff, you are introducing all these chemicals that suddenly cause a reaction in your skin. And therefore you could possibly be introducing or telling your body to, hey, let's develop rosacea. Let's develop this. Let's develop that, because you're introducing these foreign chemicals. Mm-hmm. All kind of piled up together.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you're right. And, even young kids shouldn't do it. And I think, I feel like I'm starting to see a shift, that skin flooding trend was the last couple of years. And now we're moving back towards the skin minimalism trend. And I hope it stays because I do think that skin flooding of putting tons of different stuff on is, that's just a marketing tactic, right? It's not actually healthy for you.
Yeah. Because if I owned a skin line and if I said, if I can introduce all these different products and everybody's going to buy, and I'll tell you why you need to use all of these 10 or 15 products, it's just more money in my pocket.
Exactly. And it's not helping you. So that's why it's everyone's like, are you going to add more SKUs? What's your latest product? We're like, no, we're just doubling down on the formulas that work. We will never add more SKUs. The only thing we might add is a sunscreen because we don't have that and a lot of our customers want it. But aside from that, no. If anything, I would even remove a product and go down to 4 SKUs versus 5. But we're at 5 right now.
So let's talk about this. Most women, maybe start to see a shift in their skin around the age of 40 and then so forth. What kind of products or what should a woman in the age of 40 who wants to keep her healthy skin and maybe keep some, kind of slow down the fine lines. What products that Veriphy has would you recommend that she use?
I think our hero product, which most people have, is our serum. It's a power trip serum. So it's lactic acids, fruit AHAs, and this PhytoSpherix technology is just a great place to start. But what I'll say just in general, backing up Veriphy aside, for people who are 40 plus is don't start putting harsh chemicals in your daily skincare line on your skin all the time. I'm more of an advocate of find a clean, and we can get into the word clean in a second, but find a few key products that work for you, and then go make it a regular thing that your splurge is going in for a deep facial treatment of some sort every quarter. And to me, that is the best use of how to do effective skincare for aging versus putting on chemicals every single night, different peels, different all of that. I say spend the money and the time instead investing every 3 months that you go into a dermatologist and do some sort of deeper clean treatment, whatever it might be that's right for your skin, and then just use a safe, regular, simple line to maintain it throughout. And I think people who do that see the most results. So yeah, so that's where I'd recommend. And then if people are looking for one place to start, because some people love their cleanser or they love this, just add the serum. And I say just add it at night, watch it, and then a lot of people, because it's an exfoliating serum as well, so it not only like brightens, but it also it hydrates, it exfoliates, it gets rid of blackheads. It's like the number one thing to get rid of blackheads. It's crazy. And then I use it morning and night, but some people can just start at night and add it to it. And then, keep your regular skincare of what you love and like. You don't have to replace everything, but I think that's a good place to start.
And I think to add to that, because you said, go like maybe every 3 months to your dermatologist to have some kind of deeper cleansing type of work. I think to add to that is that the reason you're saying that is so that the products that you're using are actually penetrating into the skin layer. Because otherwise, you have like this dead skin layer. And so nothing's going to penetrate. So you're not really going to reap the benefits of this product that you're trying to increase hydration or reduce fine lines.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. Let me give you my ultimate skin hack. That is like my grandmother taught me. And I think that we need to go back to it, is the power of a washcloth. So face cloth, washcloth. So here's the thing. You put your cleanser on, rub your cleanser, and then take a washcloth, warm water, wring it out, and then drape it over your face. Take 2 or 3 breaths, just, it's relaxing everything, and then gently wipe off your cleanser using the face cloth. It is a natural exfoliation. It preps your skin. And then if you put your serum or whatever product on after, it's able to actually go in, but it's not harsh, because I'm not saying rub and scrub your skin. I'm saying just drape it on, take a couple warm breaths, and then gently wipe off the cleanser. And then you can splash your face if you want after, but that alone will make your skincare more effective. And then you don't need harsh chemicals, because you're actually allowing the skincare to go in and do what it needs to do. So great point that you brought up on that.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny that you say that, because there's this lady that I saw on YouTube, and she's 70 years old. And I was watching her one time. She was talking about her skincare regimen, and she talked about that, using a washcloth. And I thought, I would never use a washcloth on my face. But I'm like, but you know what? She's 70 and she looks amazing.
Natural exfoliation. It is so simple, so easy. Our grandmothers did it. And I mark my words, it's coming back.
It is. Like I was mentioning to you, my biggest issue is hydration. And I tell my husband, I don't care what I do. I could put, Vaseline. I could put anything under my eyes, like right in here, or like around my nose, certain areas, and saturate myself even with like just, lotions. And I'm dry. And I know that the biggest thing is that, my hormones have changed. My estrogen level has gone down. I know that I do this, and perhaps some of the women that are listening or watching right now do this as well, is they will apply estrogen cream on their face. I can't remember, there's a certain ingredient in your products that gives the hydration. How is that different than applying estrogen on your face?
So great. So that's this PhytoSpherix. We call it PhytoSpherix technology. It's a vegan form of glycogen, and it's a turbo hydration molecule in essence. And so I would highly recommend anyone who's wanting to see more moisture and hydration, try it. Like just test it out, try it. Like you will see a difference. But what it does is again, especially if you use the washcloth before, it's able to penetrate in and create it fuels your skin to produce collagen, and then it looks automatically more hydrated, supple. Like you'll see it. I mean, I also always say the same things, like you got to drink water, but drink water, in my opinion, that have electrolytes in it, because it's, water for the sake of water sometimes is not actually hydrating, not too many electrolytes, but certain things that you can be functioning on your hydration from an inner level as well as an outer level. And then also look at your products and your routine that you're using. Because a lot of the stuff that we're just like, I'm hydrating, it's actually stripping you. So it's doing the polar opposite of what you think it's supposed to be doing. So do an audit, and listen, love ChatGPT. Like, take pictures of all the ingredients of your products, put it up there with a really solid prompt, and just say, which of these ingredients could actually be stripping moisture from my skin? And you'll be shocked at what comes back. Now, listen, use your discernment. I'm not saying trust your everything to AI and all that, but people would be surprised sometimes of things that they're putting on their skin thinking it's helping is actually, stripping their skin of the moisture that it needs.
And it's funny that you say that, because one time I was using this product and, and it was supposed to provide hydration. And I looked at the ingredients, and one of the things in there was some type of like alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm putting this on my face?
I know. So I'm glad you brought up ingredients. So this is like, at some point, we're going to change here in the US, and we're getting a little bit better. But so we manufacture our product up in Canada just because they have like a lot higher scrutiny on ingredients that can go in. It's in line with the European standards, which again is a lot stronger and higher. You can hide a lot of things in the US. Again, they're getting better at calling certain things out. But I think that standard thing, I'm going to give you a case in point. So one of, I think, a fantastic brand is just a drugstore brand called La Roche-Posay, French brand, all that. The ingredients of what the same product that we get here in the US is different than what they sell in Europe and Canada. So my dermatologist said to me, she goes, I want you to get the La Roche-Posay sunscreen. She goes, but don't buy it in the US. Get someone in Canada to ship it to you, or I get it from here. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, the exact same sunscreen, different ingredients based on how FDA or whoever regulates what can and can't be sold on American. I mean, are you kidding me? She goes, no. So I highly recommend that people look at ingredients, do research on it. And if you're ever in Europe, one of the best places to go, it's like a candy store for me, is French pharmacies. Like, you go into these French pharmacies and there's skincare line and it's not overly expensive, but it's incredibly effective. And it's at these transparency standards that we just don't have here in the US. So, and I get not everyone can go to France and go to a French pharmacy to buy their stuff, but do some research and you can ship stuff in. So when I have people visiting from Canada, I get them to put a little La Roche-Posay sunscreen that they buy at the drugstore there for me. So that's what I'm using here.
And it's funny that you say that, because I remember I interviewed another dermatologist like a few years back, and she had mentioned that when she looks at people's skin, she really admired particularly European people. She says their skin, she says whatever they have done with their skin, they're doing it right. We don't have it right here in the US because their skin looks amazing.
Because everything that's sold there, regardless of the level, has to hit certain standards. So you can't mess up what you put on your face there because there is such strict regulations. You don't have that here in the US. So I completely agree. Like it's a noticeable difference. I mean, you'd be shocked and sickened at some of the stuff that's allowed to sell here based on the ingredients. And then when you find out, I mean, you can't unsee it, but it's pretty disturbing.
Or remember, like right around before COVID, before COVID and after COVID, all these sunscreens, these staple brand sunscreens that we were purchasing at the pharmacy, they were being pulled off the shelves because of XYZ ingredient.
Yeah, I know. And you think you're doing, and they market to you, put it on every day, right? So like then and yeah, it's off. And big brands that we all know and trust too. Like it was pretty, and that's sad. So it's just, I mean, I'm very dubious of the amount of sunscreen. And I live in California, so I know we're supposed to have sunscreen all the time, but like, I would rather the kids don't wear sunscreen certain days than putting on chemicals and crap. So it's a fine line.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing you correctly, products are manufactured in Canada because of the standards and because it's clean.
Yeah. And listen, clean is there's a whole debate too within the industry because there's no clean. Listen, we're certified by CertClean, which does do its own rigorous testing and stuff like that. But that's not there's not a universal standard of clean. So you got to be careful with this clean washing as well. And I also will say to that is that sometimes a lot of the natural products are actually worse for you because they're mold can develop in them because they're so natural. And so they're, you really have to hit this fine line. I tend to it's because we do it, but I tend to gravitate towards anything that has like clinical data trials. Because if people spent the money to do that, it's better than if they're just slapping on these white labeled formulas and spending money on their marketing dollars instead of the actual science behind it. So people need to be careful as well of not getting clean washed. We say like there's this new defining category called clinical. So it's like clean, but clinical. So it's effective, right? Because you can have these natural products that are clean, and they're right. They are very clean, but they're not necessarily effective. And in some instances, they can actually be harmful. Again, if mold develops on them or what they might have with reactions and stuff like that. So people just need to, again, issue some discernment and do their research before they decide what they're going to commit to.
Mm-hmm. And so I remember when I went on your website and I was like reading about the product, reading about the research and stuff. It reminded me of, because I do hormone replacement, that's what helps me stay calm, but I do bioidentical. And so I was thinking, I thought your formula sort of reminded me of kind of going to bioidentical as opposed to chemical.
Exactly. And it goes back to that philosophy of, we don't realize how powerful we are. Like, you don't realize how powerful your skin is, your body is at being able to heal itself. And so rather than layer on chemicals that are altering and changing how your body can heal itself, if you're putting products on your skin that are just enabling your skin to do what it should do when it's healthy, like, that's what we believe in. So we have this philosophy of less is more. Like, do not put a ton of stuff on, because that's just going to counteract each other and not be able to, deliver the results that you want. And trust in the power of your body and in your skin to heal itself. So just give it what it needs to do its job, and, get out of its way and watch it perform. Like, even like cancer patients, there's all these studies now that people reverse things. My youngest brother has autism. The amount of change that you can help by people's diets and the food that they eat. Like, your body is so smart and so powerful. Just let it do what it's meant to do, but you got to fuel it the right way.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that, for example, if there's a certain, and I'm not a chemist, if there's a certain like something in my body that creates hydration in my skin, maybe because I'm older and, my hormones have shifted, I lack the ability to be able to keep hydration. So you guys are substituting this particular natural product that is sort of feeding it back into my body so that my body can respond and say, hey, let's create hydration.
Exactly. Like, exactly what you're talking about, like, peptides or whatever, biomarkers that people are coming out with. It's the same thing. It's going in and it's reteaching your DNA or whatever, your molecules to be able to do what they're meant to do. So that's like I always say, listen, my background is not the science side of things. Like, we have the chemists and the formulators. I'm like, my job in the company is to like make it real for people like me who just want to understand it and not be made to feel stupid. Because sometimes, it can go so deep in the science that I'm just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I want to be able to understand it, and I want to see the results. Like, that's kind of that bridge where I'm at. So yes, exactly to your point. It's going in, and it's because of the way that the molecule is designed. It's just helping your skin do what it should be doing when it would be at optimal health.
Mm-hmm. And I think so. Your product is also allowing women to have that confidence again, because I think that when our skin does not look like it did before, where it's glowy, it's bouncy, it just looks amazing. And people are telling you, wow, you have such beautiful skin, and how we have dry, chappy, skin. Your product is actually doing that. It's giving us the ability to have that back.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, we always say, great skin gives you the confidence to do great things, because it's true. Like, when you wake up, you have whether it's like a good hair day or just a good skin day, like, you walk into a room and you just have an extra je ne sais quoi, you're able to like put your best face forward, put your best foot forward, whatever it might be. So I totally agree with you. And I think that like, we believe a lot in like inner work too. I think it's, it's my natural path as I do so much like personal growth and looking at things. And so that ability to pair like your own internal confidence and your own internal growth, and then have the external skin to reflect that, like that's a killer combination. You're just gonna, regardless of where you go in life, you're gonna crush it.
Exactly. So could someone use retinoid, tretinoin, and also use your product as well?
Yes, because it doesn't have any counteractive ingredients that way. Yeah, exactly. So that's what, listen, I'm not here to poo-poo and say, no, don't do this, don't do that. Do that. If you find that that works for your skin, I think that's great. And at the same time, give your skin an ability to be able to maintain some of its own power. So pair it with another line. I think the worst thing that people can do is when they're using, those powerful ingredients, and then they're going to like another like chemical layer on top of it because they think that they're getting something, or an influencer has told them, oh, I did. Like, that's where you're going to have more problems than, you probably anticipate you're going to have.
Yeah. Or maybe like you said, is if I want to use this product and I want to use this product, maybe take a picture, put them into Chat GPT, because we're not scientists. And if you are, woohoo! And ask Chat GPT, do any of these conflict? And here's my allergens.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a great place and way for people to start. And sometimes you can say I get really deep with ChatGPT and I'll be like, okay, now give me a counter for that. Like bring in a clinical dermatologist who's going to do it. And like, I'll watch the little things battle each other out with their, and it's kind of fun when you get into it. But yeah, at the very baseline, just put in the 2 ingredients, explain your age, where you live, like all a little bit about your lifestyle and stuff like that, and then see what it has to say. And I would always say to people, like, just like it's good to do a little fast and cleanse sometimes it's good to do a skin fast and cleanse. Like, stop your chemical products, go to something a little bit, again, I wouldn't say natural is always what you need to do. Like you can, but science-based for a little bit. And it doesn't have to be verified. Like go to any of the science-based brands that are out there and just trust them a little bit. See if you can reduce the amount of things you're putting on your skin. You should not be putting more than, 4, 5 products on your skin. Cleanser, moisturizer, serum, eye cream, sunscreen. Like that's all you need. Don't start this, that, mask this, like just, oh my gosh.
I'm going to have to share a funny story with you. So right around Thanksgiving, I was like bored to death, and I fell into TikTok, and I saw somebody talking about, and I'm not going to mention the product, but it had like a buttload of stuff. And so, because it will give me my hydration, it'll like give me the plumpness that I'm missing, blah, 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 blah. And then I scrolled to another TikTok and saw, and this thing changed my neck. It tightened my neck and blah, blah. So 2 different lines, Korean brands. I'm not going to say the names. Purchased both of them because I was bored. It was around Thanksgiving and it was late. So I shouldn't have done it because I was so sleepy. I used both products for each thing, the face, the neck. Oh my goodness, Lindsay. I had this thing on my neck, and still I think it comes and goes. I have like this red spot that I cannot get rid of. In fact, I'm seeing the dermatologist tomorrow. I'll have to tell her about it, and then I'll have to confess how it got there. But I believe it was because I created a bomb.
Yes. And that goes back to my other thing about ingredients. Like, listen, I think there's some amazing K-beauty products out there with the caveat of those are regulated in Korea. They're not regulated. So it goes to that ingredient side of things again. Like there's a lot of Korean beauty products that you can't get in Europe because of the ingredients that are put on them. So like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but like that's terrifying. But I think there's a lot of these things happening more often than you think, because people don't talk about them after they happen. They kind of just like are embarrassed. They're like, oh, is it my skin? Like, did I do it wrong and stuff like that? When no, like some of these products are just really not good for you. But yet they're trendy and they're this. And so people use them and then they don't work and they throw it. But like, where's the repercussions for stuff that's actually causing damage? Right. And so,
Yeah.
Really.
And I mean, and it's been there for like a couple of months. It won't go away. It's still kind of red. And I'll put like cortisone on it. And then I'll kind of leave it alone and it won't go away. So I thought, okay, when I go see my dermatologist, for my annual check,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to confess and say, fix this.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there you go. That's like the best of all warnings that could possibly had. Like,
yeah. Because I don't know what's in it. The box is so dang small. It's hard to read the print. And, and is it in Korean or is it in English? I don't know. The print's so small. The font, I think, is white, or the font color is white and the box is pink.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
No, exactly. And it's not regulated. Like, it's just, So, well, sorry, tough lesson learned, but at least you learned it and it wasn't worse. Like, it could be worse. So,
and I can share it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can share it with people. Be careful. You're going to end up like me.
A real lived experience.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay, who is this product for? Who is this product not for?
I believe women over the age of 40 is who this product is for, because, that is me. That is my demographic. That tends to be when we look at people who are constantly buying, like, that's the demographic. Now, I will say Forbes named it one of the top skincare line for men the year before last. I think because it's so simple, like just like step 1, 2, 3. And there are a lot of young, so I'm not trying to be ageist. There are a lot of young people that, that like it too, but I would say women 40 plus who have realized that less is more and just want something that's science backed as a staple. Go and try and experiment with a bunch of things, but kind of you can come back to knowing that this is a tried and true thing that works. That's who it's for. And I challenge people. I say, just start with the serum. Start with the serum, see what you think. And then usually they end up coming back for more, but that's a good way to tip your toe in.
And I think your son can verify that. Verify will make you, who you just said that you are 40-ish or maybe right there. You look like an average 30-year-old. So, and I was pegging you with that. So it's obviously working.
Oh my gosh. From his lips to whoever's ears. I like it. The liners that come out of him. But he always says that. He's like, can I put Verify on my skin? I'm like, sure, bud. So he likes the mist. That's his favorite thing to do, is he sprays the mist and just goes like this.
And what I admire about you is that you're not wearing, if it doesn't look like to me, you're not wearing much makeup.
No.
And
I don't wear, little bit of tinted sunscreen. That's like my only base that I put on. And that's what, like, that to me, like, I want my skin to show through, right? So it's, that's my tinted sunscreen is it.
Yeah. And does your serum also, Verify serum, does that also help with, because as we get older, we get spots?
Yes.
I didn't have spots.
I have sunspots. I mean, I'm in California. Like, yes, I have spots. So yes, that I'm glad you brought that up. That it's like a brightening pigmentation. We have this, we get a lot of reviews, but we have this wonderful review came from this woman, cancer survivor. And she goes, I just started getting all these brown spots as I was going through all the treatments. She goes, and I started using the Power Trip serum and I've noticed that the brown spots, like, now listen, I noticed the sunspots lightening on me, but to have that testimonial from her. And so she was so great. She's like, I actually sent it to my group of women who are also going through, different treatments and stuff like that, because it does lift it, but in a gentle, natural way. You know what I mean? It's not bleaching it like some of these beauty products are. It's not going super chemical to just remove the surface, which also affects your hydration, right? Because it'll just do it that way. This is lightening it while hydrating at the same time. So thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that is one of the things that it works on.
Yeah, because that's something we get. I mean, unfortunately, I had my daughter older in life. I think I was 38 when I got pregnant of her. 39 when I got pregnant of her. And then the first thing I noticed, I'm like, what happened to my face? I have these spots that I never had before. And I live in California too. I'm up in Sacramento, but I'm like, what the heck? And it seems like they keep growing instead of going away. And I have tried vitamin C serums, and I've even done laser, and the laser made it go away, but then it comes back.
Yeah. No, I think you, and then, your listeners with the serum, they'll find effective for that.
That is great. Lindsay, where can people buy Verify? I want it right now. I need it right now because it's phenomenal.
Amazon. Like that's your easiest thing. You're going to get it overnight or, your prime delivery. So that's the easiest way to do it. But also, Ulta, Nordstrom's, our website. Our website also has a lot of information on the ingredients so people can see it, or the how-tos. I mean, it's not rocket science and how to put it on your face, but the website's a good resource for that. But yeah, if people want it right now, just go to Amazon. And we're spelled Veriphy because of the PhytoSpherix in it. So it's a play on Verify.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I'm like, how is that?
I know. Verify, I get it's not the most, but it works.
Can I walk into Ulta and buy it?
So right now, this is a great question. This is actually really interesting. So because we are a small brand and we're bootstrapped, meaning we don't have any venture money, when you're going to do a big rollout across all of the stores, I mean, you're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the actual launch and rollout of it. So Ulta, who is amazing, recognizes that like they wanted more science-backed brands. So they've put us through this program where it's their stepping stone. So we're not in their, 3,000 doors, but we're online, available everywhere across the US. And then we're in a few key doors and we'll expand as we grow with them, which is amazing for a small beauty brand. And not a lot of retailers will offer that. They just want the big ones with the big bucks. And so I have a lot of respect for them in doing that. So the easiest way is go Ulta online. You can go into your local Ulta and say, hey, I hear you about Verify. That helps us to get more expansion. But it's a good program that they have, and we're happy to be part of it.
Yeah. And I think another thing for women out there is that it's invented by women.
Yes.
And it's owned by women.
Yes.
Or by a woman. So
yes.
Why not support your local woman?
And we have a full female team as well. So, and again, I always say it's not, but we're not trying to be sexist. It just happens that we have a full female team. And yes, the formulators, the females who were at the biotech, it's all been females throughout the way. And it's pretty special. And then we also give scholarships to women in STEM and business programs at the university where PhytoSpherix was discovered. So it's a give back and part of our mission as well to support women entering those programs.
Yeah, and I was hoping you were going to say that, because if not, I was going to add that.
Oh, thanks. It's important, right?
Yeah. So, Lindsay, what advice would you give that woman who's listening or watching right now that says, man, something's got to change because I'm not in love with my skin? What do I need to do?
Face cloth. Like, I'm going to go back to my grandma's advice. Like, just start with a face cloth method right now, and then maybe change one of your products to remove if you're doing too many things. So face cloth and then a serum, you should be able to see a change from that. And, add things into ChatGPT, search all of that. And then also do try to go to, for regular facials, deep cleans, because that does have an impact. Again, nothing too harsh, nothing too, abrasive or all that, but a deep clean is helpful with, again, a professional. You're not just going to your random things here, like do it with someone who's well-trained.
Yeah, someone who's knowledgeable about the stuff they're putting on your face.
Yes. And also not someone who's just trying to sell you whatever line that they have in there, because sometimes they have these agreements with this big, pharma company and they're just trying to sell and peddle those products. Like truly, and you can tell the difference when you go and you talk to someone who's knowledgeable and is doing it for the love of skin. Make sure you're working with someone like that as well.
Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on the show. I will include links to all of your information so that people can learn more about you, because you're an awesome person, and learn more about Verify so that they can start to change their skin.
Perfect. And if you want, we can offer a discount for your listeners that's specific to you. So I'll get the team to set that up for you as well.
That would be great. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's circle back to my late night viral skincare haul. Here's a lesson I learned the hard way. When you layer a bunch of trendy products, especially the ones with mysterious ingredients or strong actives, you can basically create a perfect storm for irritation. And midlife skin, it doesn't bounce back like it used to. What I loved about Lindsay's approach is how simple and empowering it is. Starts with the basics. Support your skin barrier. Don't overdo it. And if you want one place to begin, she's clear. a great serum plus that surprising genius washcloth method to gently prep your skin. No harsh scrubbing required. And of course, if you want to check out Veriphy Skincare, Lindsay shared where you can find it. Amazon for fast delivery, plus Ulta, Nordstrom, and her website. She also mentioned that you can get a discount, so keep your eye on the show notes for that. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to like, leave a comment, and share it with a friend who's been staring at her skincare shelf thinking, none of these are working anymore. And if you want to learn more about Lindsay and Veriphy Skincare or connect with her, head on over to createthebestme.com/EP170 or click below in the show notes where you'll also find that discount code. And come back next week for another amazing episode created just for you. Until then, keep dreaming big, take care of yourself, and remember, you are beautiful, strong, and capable of creating the best version of yourself and having the best skincare. Thank you for watching. Catch you next week. Bye for now.